Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Amanda Susahai, and I want to thank you all for joining us for this presentation and discussion on discovering how you can use interactive big data to gain real-time intelligence to deliver greater value through stronger relationships and more compelling offers and services in order to build customer lifetime value and satisfaction. Our speaker today is Stephen Noels, CTO of NGDATA. We're looking forward to an interactive session with you and encourage you to submit your questions via the chat window at any time during the presentation. Stephen will answer your questions during the Q&A session at the end of the presentation. We will also follow up via email on any questions that Stephen is unable to get to during today's session. This webcast is being recorded and will be available on the NGDATA website shortly. You may also request a copy of the slides by sending a message via chat to the presenter. And now I'd like to turn over the floor to Stephen.
Hey, thank you, Amanda. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. This is going to be a packed seminar, so we'll be swiftly going through the content. The goal of this presentation is to provide you with some insights on how Lily, our core product, will help you in basically allowing you to process your customer interactions in such a way that you can become a more customer-centric bank. Now, we've been talking with a lot of banks over the past 18 months, and we've been realizing that there are some important trends here which are, I think, pretty interesting as a starter for this conversation. First of all, we see that a lot of our customers and prospects are making a top priority the fact that anything is becoming contextualized. And I'm going to explain myself here. If you look into bank transactions, if you look into customer interactions, a lot of it actually depends on where somebody is, the availability of all the bank services in the palm of their hands, and all of these mobile interaction platforms such as mobile wallets and such are generating a lot of data. Now that data is oftentimes it's very important that that data is processed and becomes part of your view on the customer's interests and his general behavior as fast as possible. It makes no sense to offer someone a coupon for a merchant which is miles away. It's far more interesting to offer presentment which is related to the context, the time, the location that somebody is, which means that all of the outreach towards customers is the aspect of real time is hugely important. Now, luckily, banks have been listening to that, having seen that, and they've been changing their core systems so that the core system is not only focused anymore on supporting transactions, payments, and all that. Obviously, it is still the core of a bank, so no question about that. But they are also trying to derive true customer intelligence from the mountains of data that they are basically sitting on. What they see is that within that mountain of interaction data, each individual payment, each individual click on the website or usage of the mobile applications that the bank is offering allow us to find out what the customer is really interested in and what might be the next path and the next step in the ideal customer journey. Now, lastly, or not thirdly, sorry, what we see as well is that there's new business models arising which are supported by this abundance of data and the possibility of exchanging that data in general. We've been working with banks who are actively collaborating with their merchant customers, so their business customers, and where they present themselves as a possible channel for redistributing offers from those merchants into the hands of the individual consumer bank customers. So banks are moving from being just a data hub and a data transaction platform into a true hub of customer service interactions, allowing basically to their business customers to benefit from all the interesting information that they have been gathering over time. So obviously, these new business models require a comprehensive support across the whole divisions of a bank, and requires collaboration of banks not only within the bank but also with retailers, telco companies, and so on and so forth. Another important trend in retail banking is that previously, banks were very much focused on the life stages. You were joining as a new customer. Oftentimes, it was almost at birth that you were became you had a bank relation due to your parents' relation with some bank, and then you had a few of important stages in your life, and the bank was really organizing its marketing around those life stages. So at some point you were going for college, you needed a college loan, you were graduating, starting a first job, all that kind of things. Now what you see is that this stage segmentation marketing approach is still interesting, but due to the importance of contexts, time, location, but also the fact that people don't like to be put in those large buckets, you see that there's a slow change into the marketing operations of a bank to make sure that they better align not so much only with the life stages, but in general with the lifestyle. So really linking back into the behavior of people, and it is actually in the behavior of people that we will find out what would be their cultural or geographic or background. It's actually in the interests of people that the true interesting lifestyle events can be found that are of real importance for a bank to work with. Somebody is at some point shopping for a car loan. Somebody is at some point getting kids which are getting a bit older. They start discovering new interests, want to find new information on the bank website, and a bank should be really responsive to these smaller stages in somebody's life. Now, I think with these trends being put out there, however, and it's always like that, there's still a few challenges out there. We saw a recent report, this very recent report, just a few weeks ago from BBRS, where they did a survey on banking executives and trying to find out what is the kind of data that they are able to work with to support their technology initiatives. And you find out that yes, they have quite a lot of demographic and segmentation data, but there's a few problems with that, specifically with segmentation data, and due to the fact that banks are typically still putting customers in segments like 4 times a year, or oftentimes only like 2 times a year. Now, obviously, there's a good reason for not trying to move people between marketing segments too often, but you can start wondering or questioning yourself whether like 4 times a year is not like a very slow pace in putting and segmenting your user pool. Obviously, banks have a lot of data. The majority of data is about bank transactions and digital transaction data. But you see that not all the banks are able to really process that behavioral data, because that's ultimately what it is, into something which is of true interest. And you see, the lower we go down, it becomes harder for a bank to actually benefit from the data that is being generated in and around the bank. And a lot of that has to do with the capabilities of the technology systems. That has to do with the fact that systems are being organized in silos. We see a lot of situations where bank marketing initiatives are still grouped around the channels. And so we have a branch channel, there's an online channel, there's a mobile channel, and there's a lack of coordination, and also trying to move from that position into an omni-channel strategy requires you to integrate data across the channels. And we found out that there's banks which are running into huge problems doing such a coordination effort. Looking into the actual problems, what are the obstacles that slow the bank's ability to gather information and to profit from that information, not so much for themselves, but basically to provide a better service to their customers. Top thing is volume of data. We habitually encounter banks which are trying to process tens, hundreds of terabytes on a daily or weekly basis, and basically processing oftentimes means just storing it, not benefiting from it, let alone learning from it, and trying to carry forward the bits that you learn about your customers through time. Another thing is the importance of the user friendliness, or sometimes the lack of user friendliness, of analytical tools. There's a lot of analytical tools out there. Some of them have problems with being able to process those large amounts of data, but also the general friendliness and using those tools is all oftentimes lacking. So I'm not going to read the list aloud, for you aloud. The slides will be made available afterward. But those are really really interesting things. The top things are volume, the fact that information sits in silos. Corporate IT is slow in responding to the market. If you want to process the data, there's just in real time, there's just too much of them, and basically. The competition is not really fair in that, and I'll get to that point immediately. What we see is there's a lot of data being generated, and it's all being used to the best effort possible to talk and to engage the customer. But you get into these situations that somebody gets a paper mail. It's not related to the SMS or the text message that he received a couple of days before. People logging into the ATM get an ad on the ATM which is not related to their actual needs and requirements, and that has to do with even though we're like 10, 15 years down the road and trying to build a 360-degree view of the customer, and coming up with ways of breaking down the silos of customer data at banks, it is still happening, and it's still a very common practice. And the competition to win the heart of the customer is really strong. The real competitor there is always, I always use the example there of Google and Google Now. Google Now, as you probably know, is this kind of personalized service from Google which reads your emails, checks your travel schedule, checks your social network to find out about birthdays of your friends, all these kind of things. They have literally almost 100 little things that they are able to collect from you about your behavior, about your interest, about your plans for the day, for the moment. They know when you're commuting work home, and obviously they also have a view on the broader world around you, and they will inform you of the fact that there's a huge traffic jam and you should probably start a bit earlier with the commute, or let somebody know that you will be late. And what is specific about these kind of online interactive platforms and applications is ultimately they are they are built and working on top of a continuously updated profile about you as a consumer, you as a person, your interests, your activities, and your interactions with a variety of services. So that generation, and unfortunately I'm not that generation anymore, but I can very much relate to them. That generation is the generation which has grown up as a digital native, and they are they don't know anything else than deep personalization, deep contextualization, being presented with offers which are really relevant to who they are, how they evolve, what their interests are, and how these things change over time. So I think anyone's challenge in a consumer-facing industry, and that includes retail, that includes telecom companies, media companies, but especially specifically banks. They are at this point required to paint a very unique picture of each and every individual customer or person they have a relationship with, starting from acquiring that customer. So even before you have somebody's name or somebody's email address, before you have the relationship with him or her, and to carry forward that deep connection between the customer and the services that are relevant to him being offered by you over the length, the duration of the whole relationship. And such a customer ID or a customer profile is really of key importance. It should be modeled across a number of important parts of information. First of all, it should be based or derived straight off the real-time behavior of someone. So it should be composed of all the data that you can get, that you can collect about each individual person. It could be click streams on your website, could be interaction logs from your mobile or your online banking platform. It obviously is also should be including all information about your back office or core systems such as payment transactions. Basically, to make sure that you have a deep understanding about what's the behavior of someone and what's the shift in and the change, the variation in behavior of someone. Out of that, adding on to that the context of location, the context of time. The usual example is we all spend differently when we are working or when we are on holidays. So the aspect of context is really very important there, and you can use those to basically work out the individual preferences for your bank products or for your merchant partner offer coupons, for instance, for every individual profile or customer. Ultimately, we are moving from a segmentation-based approach to a segment of one approach. So you're going to do deep personalization with your offerings towards a customer, or you will be using more broad categorizations, which are not so much like static segments, but affinities, we call them. More broad descriptions of how what people's interests are, how they are they interested in investments, are they interested in wealth, are they interested in shopping, that kind of thing. Basically, not so much as a binary segmentation tool, but more as a more gradual linear score that I'm like 20% investor interest. I'm interested in cars. I like to be in outdoors. So try to paint a more individual picture of everyone. Now, trying to do that will require you to work with a lot of data. To make sure that you can pull all that data into a platform which organizes that data in a customer-centric way, not moving away from the product-centric thinking, which a lot of consumer-facing industries are still in. towards a customer-centric way of thinking. Start thinking about the needs and the requirements of the customer rather than how to push out your product into the largest possible market. So you will be collecting a lot of data, and that might cause issues or challenges for existing systems. You will try to distill that data into true insights. Now, what we've seen is that data scientists are doing wonderful things, but oftentimes they get caught into, we call it also kind of like analysis paralysis. They also spend a lot of time just preparing the data for doing analytics, for building prediction models. So you want to steer away from the fact that for each marketing action, each each initiative that you want to bring forward to the customers, that you have to pull raw data into an analytical workbench, start developing a model from scratch. You basically want to make sure that that data is already nicely prepared and ready for analytics, building the models on top of it. Now, with that data being there, basically what you want to do is to make sure that you use that data to engage with the customer. And every offer presentment, every time that you personalize a web page based on that information, based on that actual customer profile, you want to make sure that you capture the feedback of that, whether he likes it or not, whether he accepts the offer, whether he clicks on the ad or the personalized content or not, to make sure that you first of all capture the feedback, but also make sure that the messaging that you have, the interactions that you have with the customer, are aligned across all of the different channels. And that's exactly what we do with Lily, our product, Lily Enterprise. Basically what we do is we listen into all of the interaction data, all of the customer data available in your organization. We learn from that in order to build a unique customer profile, and we allow execution systems such as email systems, web personalization systems, call center systems to tap into that unique, ever actual profile in real time. And we've called that profile the customer DNA because it is very individual and very specific to each individual customer, and it gets richer over time, basically. The longer that you listen into the data, the longer you learn about people's behavior, the richer your DNA gets. So the challenge and the goal of Lily, the challenge Lily is up to, and the goal that we've designed the product for, is to be able to answer a number of key questions that marketers in banks are really spending a lot of time on these days. It's like, we have a new product. Yes, that's interesting, but who are the top 100, top 10 customers who might be interested in buying that product today? And it might be not even today, but like in the next couple of hours. If you think about people who are investment bankers, or people who are on private banking or wealth management, there's a certain event happening on the stock market. There should be a buy advice being sent for a certain stock to a selection of customers who are interested in this specific kind of stock, and you want to make sure that this can happen within minutes, basically, rather than oh yes, let's design a campaign, let's prepare a target list, let's send it out, let's do some A/B testing if possible, and after a week, basically the whole momentum of the action might have already been gone, just because of systems being slow to react. It is really important that when the customer is there on your touch points through the different available channels, we are moving away from a push-based marketing where we, the bank, will decide when to send out what to certain customers, more of like a campaign-like vision. What you see is that the bank should be ready with an interesting, compelling service offering, an interesting, compelling message for each individual customer when the customer chooses to interrupt with you as a bank. So he's going to he's going to be present on the touch point. You won't have time to do deep calculation, to do a lot of analytical processing or modeling. He's there and he's interested, and you want to make sure that you have the top 3 products that are really responding to his interests at that point available for him. And there's more simple things, but equally important. Everybody tends to have his preferred interaction channels, which might be also tied into specific products. I like to consult my bank account balance on my mobile phone, but for doing transfers, I actually do it on the online platform because it's a bit easier to work with. And you want to make sure that you present these kind of things in a meaningful way, and take into account when you're making an offer to someone that you're already connecting him and pushing him to the channel that he or she actually prefers. Lastly, one of the real, so we've been talking about attracting new and great customers, the ones that you're able to do a long and fruitful, mutually beneficial relationship with. The other thing is trying to prevent the people get away from you, making sure that you're not trying to revive the dead patient. It's the moment that the relationship is starting to go wrong. For instance, when the number of transactions outbound from a certain account is dipping, is starting to dip, you don't have to wait for months or for doing like a monthly run for doing this kind of analytics. You want to react as fast as possible to prevent people to start shopping around for an alternative for your services. So these are the kind of questions that any subscription-based industry is working with, and this is basically what we provide a solution for. I'm going to very briefly talk a few slides on Lily Enterprise as our core offering in this regards. So as you can imagine, Lily sits inside your own data center, inside your own IT organization, and is going to listen into any available customer data systems. Being back office, but also being able to enrich that information with external third-party data, such as social demographic or email addresses that are being acquired from third-party vendors. Basically, listening into all these data sources, and we're not just listening into like static CRM data. We're really trying to listen into all of the operational systems, because these systems often tell the true story and give you a best dynamic view on what people are actually doing with your services on the different channels. We compile all of that information into a customer DNA, so there's a unique profile for every individual person that you've interacted with or are starting to interact with, which get richer over time. So we see a lot of people who are using that on its own as a way to do report and analytics with a customer-centric approach. Now, obviously, it's not just doing building simple profiles with a number of key metrics, such as what everybody's age is and where he lives and that kind of stuff. These get the DNA itself consists of thousands of metrics, which are all around certain marketing activities and which can also be filled in by predictive models running inside of Lily as well to do continuous churn scoring, risk scoring, and so on. So you have a really rich profile containing both factual information as calculated as well as predicted data, and you're going to be able to interact with that data set using all of your available marketing channels. Could be the classical marketing campaign systems going through email, SMS, or print, for instance, but also your customer service desk is able to tap into that same updated profile at all times, so that if somebody calls into your call center with a certain complaint, for instance, or a certain question, your call center agent is able to pull up the latest interaction that the customer had with you as a company, the kind of product pages that you were consulting like 5 minutes before on the bank's website. All of that information is available inside the Lily platform. You're going to actively engage and connect to that profile information to do web and service personalization, allowing you basically to build that true personalized customer experience for across the available systems that you have. So how do we do that? Basically, we compile the DNA of every individual person. You see the metrics here on the left organized across a variety of marketing activity centers, so about competition, about how the relationship you have with every customer. And basically, the thing about the customer DNA is that it's being updated as soon as new data becomes available. So every click on the website, every payment, every call into the service desk is all being registered as an interaction in Lily and builds up that DNA and builds up the metrics that are calculated for every customer. You can not only look into the individual metrics of all the metrics of every individual, you're also able basically to compare everyone's scores with each other and with sets. Sets is the Lily alternative to segments, allowing you basically to quickly group collections of interesting profiles that you want to work on based on some kind of query by example, or based on running on top of the metrics on the individual level, allowing you to very quickly compare. For instance, here we have Joe Thompson, which has a slightly lower loyalty score than the set that he belongs to, or the segment that he belongs to. And this is a totally dynamic process, so the sets are being calculated and updated along with the customer profiles themselves, and also every score is tracked over time, so you don't see just what's the number of like the loyalty score or some customer lifetime value metric, which is being calculated and updated all the time, but you also see how that evolves over time, how it was 3 months ago, 6 months ago, just a minute ago, for instance, and you can also make sense of the trends and the variations in the patterns that arise from there, so that you again start working with the patient when he's just becoming ill or when he's just has a certain need, rather than when is already in deep problems and is not we're not able to survive the relationship anymore. Some other features of Lily, as I said, there's a separate product demo webinar where we will be going into much more detail into all of the individual features. But what is being pulled out of all these different data sources is interactions. That's basically the lowest level of information that is available in Lily, organized on a per user basis. So those interactions are not stored in a technical way so that a business user cannot make sense of it, but they are really being classified along business goals and business terms. A click on a website could be anything. It could be somebody filling in a form for a request to contact him. It could be somebody who's going through a certain simulation for getting a loan. It could be somebody who's just consulting some product information websites on your website, product pages on your website. And you want to make sure that you make a distinction between a technical click on a website and all these different goals, business on a business level. And that's basically how we organize the interactions on a customer level basis. Out of these interactions, we also learn through sophisticated machine learning algorithms preferences which are continuously updated and refreshed as soon as new data becomes available, so that you really get a good view on someone's interest, and are able to make use of that information when doing content personalization and such. As I mentioned already, we're trying to provide the marketer with a more flexible environment than the usual classic segmentation models. Segmentation models are typically like you always end up with like 6 to 10 segments, and 10 is already a lot, and that's what you work with. And oftentimes it's the marketer gets a certain segment assigned to him, and that's what he works with. And the problem with that is obviously people, us as customers, as consumers, we don't like being in strongholded by a silo, a segment silo. We tend to shift and have different belong to multiple segments at the same time. So that's why we came up with sets. It gives you an easy way to organize all the customer data, the customer profiles, and to build dynamic collections of people, and track those over time and see that a customer belongs to multiple sets, that the set on itself grows or shrinks in size, and so on. We also put that in the hand of the business user so that he doesn't need a data scientist to build these sets and to start working with the large collection of user profiles. Another thing is that because of the fact that we track every customer metric over time, we can allow you also to define and to configure thresholds, so that if somebody's churn score suddenly dips below a certain or goes beyond a certain threshold, that person gets flagged into some sort of alert state, and you can work with these alert states to dynamically prepare lists of people who should be contacted, who should be followed up on, because of the fact that they have a dramatic variation in interaction behavior. Lastly, what is one of the key features of Lily Enterprise is it allows you to configure and set up alongside built-in predictive models, which could be for churn, acquisition, loyalty, that kind of basically scoring models. Now the big thing here is obviously that the scores, the metrics that result out of these predictive models are continuously updated with new customer metrics becoming available because of new customer interactions coming in. So I think we have a really interesting feature set there, and we want to look into how you can make use of that with a number of use cases that are supported with that. I think the big difference here between Lily as a new big data customer intelligence platform is that a lot of the traditional analytical systems, they can support very powerful, complex models. Sometimes they could support a nice amount of data, but oftentimes it's always in a batch fashion that they work with the data. They are not able to work with large amount of data, and they are not able to work with those real-time requirements, so that if somebody hits the website starting page 2 or page 3 of his visit, basically he's being confronted with personalized information, personalized offers, and still too much with those traditional systems. It's all about building a report, looking at a report, then taking action. Whereas one of the design goals of Lily was really to focus on the actionability of all the data that is being generated. Lastly, about the product, looking into the different capabilities, I think it's really important to understand that Lily allows you to combine both the existing back office data from your core systems or your customer back office with online interaction data, which is oftentimes now residing out of your customer intelligence systems. It provides you with a managed environment so that when different departments are coming up with the same metrics for someone, that they are based on the same calculation and the same scoring methods, so that we support full enterprise governance there. We allow you to process a lot of new data and combine it with existing BI information and build that into a customer DNA, which is ultimately designed to be actionable and to be really closely related and relevant to marketing towards your customers. By integrating well with your existing systems, we allow you to not have to, we don't come in to replace any system. We try to add value and complement the existing systems, and move from a world of reporting and batch processing into fast analytics, learning from the data rather than just trying to run a model on top of the data, and to really be prescriptive in finding out that having a score for a certain activity or a certain metric for a customer might be interesting, but tracking that score over time and being able to see trend and variation in that is even more important to have a meaningful interaction with your customers. So this is obviously something which has been designed to be relevant for people who have a long relationship with their customers, and that's the reason why we wanted to dive into a number of use cases that we've built with a few of our customers. Ultimately, it is all about supporting the focus shift that is happening in banks now, so that the product teams are not pushing the products through the branches into the channels, into the hands of the users or the customers, but that we have the customer profile, the customer needs and requirements and interests, which are central, and where all of the components, parts of the bank are able to access that customer profile and work with that customer profile to provide the best possible value to him or her. That being said, let's dive straight into a few interesting use cases and projects that we did with our bank customers. One, I would say it's like a template use case. It's something that we've been discussing and working with a lot of our customers on is the ability to truly and deeply personalize the website. And basically what you will see in this flow is that a bank will have some kind of like publishing system for the website, also for the online transactional platform, and the ability to call into to bring in personalized content, but obviously that will require you to have real-time access into the interests or preferences of an individual user that is visiting it. So what we have here is the bank's online platform, which is providing a customer ID, some session information, and uses that to call into Lily. And Lily will automatically respond and immediately and in real time respond with, okay, this is the person's customer DNA, which includes all of the possible metrics that you will need to make a good judgment on what is of interest for him or her. What's the life cycle, life event or life stage that he is in, what are the needs of the person, and also the existing products that he already has and past behavior and such, supplemented with product preference information as well. All of that information is then brought to the web personalization platform, which is using that to select which are the interesting offers that will actually be shown to the user, and also make sure that the offers are adapted to fit with the available space on the website. So this is just a template use case as a warm-up example to few other project realizations that we did, which reminds me that well, as Amanda already told you in the beginning, we really strive for interactive session. So if you have any specific questions on what I've been discussing and what we'll be discussing in the next few minutes, please use the chat box on the GoToMeeting application so that we can do some interesting Q&A at the end of the session as well. Thank you. Now, cutting to the chase here, this is a project that we did with a large Fortune 50 retail bank in the US, where basically we allowed them to improve the offer redemption rate that they had with merchant-provided, merchant-funded offers through the mobile channel. Basically, what were the input sources here? So we had an offer feed coming in from the merchants. We had the payment data that we were able to analyze and learn from in real time. And obviously, the payment data told us who would be interested in shopping with what merchant. And we were able to build a predictive model, a propensity model for coupon for offers around that. Now, that did not only take into account the actual real-time payment behavior, but also the historical data. So it was really about a lot of data. But also what was added to that was the fact that these coupons were delivered through a mobile wallet application. And that allowed us also to pull in the context of location. So the location context was then used to make sure that people were only presented with these offers which were in the close proximity of where they physically were, so that they were basically in walking distance. And so based on the payment information, we were able to learn about their interests, and based on their location, we were able to provide them with the most interesting coupons for where they were at. And that basically resulted in a huge increase of the coupon redemption rates. So the way it looked like, basically allowing you to check into your wallet, to consult the offers that are relevant to your location, and then the redemption happening through the wallet as well. And all of that based on the real-time and historical payment behavior against the merchant category codes. So that was an interesting project. Another one that we realized with Lily was the prevention of churn. So make sure that we bring in all the payment transactions fast. Also bring in all of the other interactions that customers have with the bank, such as consultation of the websites, service desk interactions, payment status, that kind of late payments and all that, and basically run predictive models around that using the alert functionality in Lily to inform call center agents, okay, this is a customer in distress, this is a customer which might be leaving soon. Why not get on the phone with him and discuss his needs and see if we can improve the relationship again. We were able to reduce the attrition rate here with more than 20%, which was obviously very significant to the bank's operational benefits. Now, another more classic, we would call it customer DNA case, was with a wealth management bank in the US, where basically we want to make sure that the financial advisors provide the true interesting information to their clients. True interesting information means it should be very relevant, related to the exact status of someone, his last transactions. There might be different profiles with your wealthy clients. You want to make sure that what is an important transaction for someone is maybe less relevant for someone else. So you want to build an individual profile here. What was of key importance here is the fact that the relationship between customers was really taking into account families, but also business relationships were also modeled and captured in Lily, and that allowed the agents, the financial advisors, to when they were engaging with a customer on a regular basis, they had really at their fingertips. It's an old term, but it's really like that. All of the actual information, all of the transactions that somebody has been working on for the last couple of hours, and also they get really interventions by the system where the system says, okay, this is something interesting happening. Here's an investment opportunity. This investment opportunity should be brought forward to these 10 customers of yours, these 10 clients of you. Please get in touch with them and start some interesting conversation with him. So that was also something where the real-time capabilities, but the ability also of Lily to combine all of those very different data sources into individual customer profiles was really important. Last use case, because we're getting at the end of this presentation, was a case of minimizing identity fraud. Basically, the ability to bring in all sorts of real-time data, but also historical socio-demographic data, and having that available during registration, during the transaction, to validate the transaction. It could be as simple as a login, where if there's any doubt about the identity of somebody logging in, there would be additional questions being asked based on the historical profile that you have. And then obviously also the ability to see variation of behavior over time, so that if somebody is a regular business travel and is popping up all over the place across continents, seeing that transaction suddenly on a Sunday morning in New York, whereas on Wednesday it's in Europe back again, is not a big surprise. It's not something which is significant, but for somebody who's doing all his payment transactions around his homestead and basically never gets on a plane, suddenly see his credit card number pop up in a shop, and where that person never lives or in a different country is a very significant event, and being able to react upon that was of key importance here. And what we saw here was that the fraud rate was basically reduced by half. So, or the detection was increased by 2. With that being said, I'm getting at the end of this presentation. Basically, the ambition with Lily And the way we want to assist your business challenges with is allowing you to work with larger volumes of data, because it's in these large volumes that sometimes the true behavior of your customers actually resides in the actual operational data, the transactions, the payments and such. The ability to benefit from that data because of faster learning, being able to run models and to do scoring in real time is obviously really important. And then also being able to get that customer profile out there, work with it, make it actionable for as much of as outbound and inbound systems as possible, allowing you to be truly relevant with your needs and requirements, for the customer's needs and requirements over time. With that being said, I hope there were a few questions, and I'll turn the floor back to Amanda for doing the question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Like you said, we're opening up the floor now for a few questions, and I have quite a few here, but as we have just a few minutes, I'll just pick a couple of them. The first one I see here is, can you explain how you compare to solutions like SaaS?
Okay, so I think SaaS has, the way we see SaaS being developed, and I'm not picking on SaaS specifically here, but analytical workbenches in general, is that the big difference with Lily is that we will always work on the totality of data. Quite often with analytical workbenches, there's a challenge of building a predictive model on top of all the data, or on building a model and operating the model on top of all the data. This is going to be sampling happening, which statistically speaking is always correct, obviously, but the problem is that yeah, you don't want to be treated as a statistical event. You're a person, you have your own behavior that's very specific and individual to you, and you want the scoring and the predictions around your behavior to be very specific to you individually. So with comparing with the classic traditional analytical workbenches, or statistical systems, we really try to learn from all of the existing data, also the operational data, and that makes a big difference in the effectivity of the resulting metrics and the depth of the profiling capabilities that we have in Lily.
Okay, I think we have time for maybe two more questions. The next one, Stephen, is, can you explain why real time is so important?
So yeah, I think I've hinted at this already during the webinar, but like with the mobile coupon case, ultimately when it comes to marketing execution, the point where you want to interact with the customer and engage with the customer, the aspect of context is so very important. It needs to be relevant based on context and location, but it should also be influenced by the latest data possible. So if somebody calls into your service center with a certain complaint, and you are as a service agent able to find out in a view powered by Lily that this person 5 minutes before was trying to make a transfer through the online banking application, you will be so much more informative and helpful to that person, because you will already know what his problem is, and you can prepare yourself to try and come up with a more meaningful answer to him. So in order to do that, you need to have the customer profile to be ready for execution and for taking action upon certain metrics at any time. And it is our firm belief that the only way you can do that is by treating all the data that is ingested in real time, and calculating that, organizing that in real time into customer profiles, assigning each interaction with the right customer across the different channels, and building out and keeping all the metrics up to date whenever new data is made available to Lily.
Okay, great. One more question, Stephen. Um, how can banks address the challenge of getting web data in real time?
So we've seen a variety of options there. Um, we are able to integrate Lily with existing web personalization platforms. For that, what we have is we have a tracker which is very easy to integrate with your web system, your web server, so that it builds the profiles over times, and then at the moment, at first stage, they are anonymous because you're just tracking anonymous profiles on the public website. As soon as somebody signs into it, you can make the connection and see, okay, this person, you can link the anonymous ID with a internal customer ID and also have access to his historical web behavior. And that can be done using our own tracker, or we can integrate with existing web analytical platforms that are available, that have been used to power the bank's website. Okay.
Okay, great. Well, that concludes our time for today. Thank you so much for joining, everyone.